Hey, in this video we are going to create this Power BI dashboard step by step. First we create the visuals, then we make the background in Figma, and in the end we add some buttons and icons. Let's get into it. You can also get the finished template with the report immediately. If you want it and you also want to support the channel, check out the link in the description. I also created a more complex template which you can easily use for other projects. You can select from the 10 different layouts and you can then simply drag and drop one of the 20 contents into it. They are all easily adjustable. You can change the frames as you need it, the size, the colors. You can remove them, duplicate them, you can replace them. Then you just need to import the finished background in Power BI and adjust the visuals and the colors there. So again, if you are interested, check the link in the description. There is also a link in the description to download the tutorial files. And if you open the Power BI file and go to table view, we have here a table with exam scores for math, reading and writing, which are affected by different factors, and we want to look into these factors. Let's go back to the report view. All the measures are already done, so we are going to focus on the design. Let's create a card first. And if you open measures, we can drag in the count participants measure, which shows how many students are there in the data set. There are 1,000 students. Then we can go to format your visual, call out value. Let's change it to 24 pixel and select the font style, Segway UI. Make it a bit smaller. Then let's copy this. And here we are going to replace the measure with score total, which shows the total score of all the students. Then let's copy it one more time. And then let's see the score math instead of the total. And then copy it 2 more times. And we will put the measure score reading and score writing into the cards. So these are the total scores. And we also want to see what factors are influencing these scores. Let's create a column chart. And here we are going to drag the factors from the free factors table on the x-axis. And the measure we are going to add is this free factors switch, which simply returns the score difference with the switch function based on the factors. As you can see, there are 3 factors we want to look at. How the score changed if the students took a test preparation course, then whether the scores are dependent on the financial background of the students. And we also look at if the scores are influenced by the education level of the parents. And we can immediately see in the column chart that there are some changes, all of them positive, which means that all these 3 factors to different levels influence the exam results. Let's declutter this chart, go to format your visuals. In the x-axis, remove the title. In the y-axis, we remove the values and the title. Then in the columns, we add some more spacing to it. Let's say 40 instead of 20. And we also want to show the data labels directly. Then go to general and change the title to factor advantages. Then let's align the visuals here. We will have the count students and the score total on the left side. Then we have the column chart in the middle and the 3 different scores are on the right side. Now this is going to be the header, and in the bottom we want to have 3 different sections for these 3 factor advantages. And how we want to do it is to create a bookmark for all of them and changing and switching between the factors. In this tutorial, we are going to create it only for the test preparation course, but we will create the bookmarks without having a real action behind them. And if you're interested and you want to practice, you can figure out something for the other sections as well. The first one is going to be the test preparation course. Let's copy the count participant card. And we are going to filter this card with the test preparation course column from the exams table. Let's drag it on the filters. And this is going to be for the completed. Then go to format your visuals. Remove the category label, go to general, add the title. This is going to be completed. We can center align it. Then let's copy the card one more time. And here we can remove the title first, then go to the data and add the count participants rel text measure. which is simply the percentage of all the participants who took the course, who completed the course, and it's formatted in a specific way in these parentheses. We can go to format your visual, call out values, and make the number 16 pixel large. Let's select them both. We can group them with pressing Ctrl G, then copy it. And here in the top visual, we can change the test preparation course to none. Then we can also change the title, go to format visuals, general, title, write none. And in the percentage, we are also going to change the test preparation course to none. Then we also want to visualize it with the pie chart. I'm just gonna copy this card here and I turn it into a pie chart. You can remove the filter, then format your visual, general, also remove the title, then go to data and add the exams test preparation course column to the legend. Let's make it larger. And we can go back and also remove the details label. Next in the middle, we want to show the test score for the two groups. Let's copy the column chart, turn it into a bar chart, remove the values from the y-axis and the x-axis, and then we drag the test preparation course column on the y-axis and the score total on the x-axis. Then we can go to format your visual, title, and change the title to test score. Then go back to visual, bars, and we are going to make the layout with a 30% spacing between. Then we will add the text box. We want to have some contextual information supporting this. And let's type students who have completed the test preparation course. And then we want to add some values which change dynamically depending on the test results. So click on value and look for text and click on show more. And we are selecting the difference test prep text pre-value. Click on save. If you look into the measure, this is a different text based on the change, whether it's significant or not significant. There is a pre-text value, then there is the change difference itself, and then we also have a prep text post value, which finishes that sentence, whether the score is good or bad or no change. So we can add the next value, click on it, then type test prep, and we can select the difference percentage test prep, click save. That's the number, the percentage number. You can also see it in the column. Click on value again, look for text, show more, and here we are going to select this test prep text post value. Let's save it. And then we are going to finish the sentence. On average, compared to the students who didn't take the test preparation course. So if we have later filters and we want to look at different sections or subsections of these results, then these values are going to change dynamically. We can also highlight some parts of the text. I would highlight text preparation course, then also the number, and then also whether it's better or worse compared to the students who didn't complete the test. So test preparation course, percentage, better, worse, what is this number? Then here on the right side, we can look in more detail into these three sections, how this test prep course influenced them. Let's create a matrix. Then we will drag from the scores table, the score type on the rows. This is a calculated table, simply having these three different labels here. Then we can scroll up and open this folder for score table. Here are the measures for this visual. Add the score completed and the score none. Then we will also add this test prep for score table for bars. And finally, this test prep for score table. We can change the names here, completed, then none. This is going to be factor advantages. And here in the last one, we don't want to have a label, just hit a space and then hit enter. Then let's make the matrix larger. And here for the factor advantages, we are going to add some bars. So let's click on the downward arrow, conditional formatting, and then data bars. and make sure that you check this show bars only and then click OK. Then we can format it a little bit, go to Format Visual, Layout and Style Presets, Style set to None. Then go to Grid, open Borders. Although none of the borders are selected, we can see that we have still some. We can remove it by enabling one of the borders and then hiding it again. Then open Options and add 5 pixel or percent row padding. I just recently realized that these numbers in Power BI are not pixels, but points. So for example, a 12 pixel text in Figma is not a 12 point text in Power BI, just as a side note. Then getting back to the visual, here we can remove the row subtotals and we can move all the visuals a bit down to make some space in between. I move this here a bit further. And as said, we can add here some bookmarks, which are not going to be active bookmarks, but they give the idea of what the dashboard could be. In the menu ribbon, go to View, open the Bookmarks panel, and you see that we have some bookmarks already. We are going to use these Factors bookmarks. In the menu ribbon again, go to Insert, Buttons, and select a navigator, a bookmark navigator. And then on the Format panel, go to Bookmarks and select the Factors group. Then in the View, we can hide this bookmark panel again. Now we will also add 2 slicers. Let's select the slicer visual and scroll down to the exams table and drag the group on the field. These are going to be different groups. If you look at them, you see that you have different values. Then go to the Formatting, Slicer Settings, and it's going to be a drop-down slicer. Then remove the slicer header and make the slicer smaller. Then go to Insert, Buttons, and let's add the blank button. We are going to have the slicer label next to the slicer, not above them. And I like to use buttons instead of text boxes because they are easier to drag around. As you see, if I click here on the text box, it activates the text field. And also in the button, you have more formatting options. For example, you can use Segway UI semi-bold, which is not available in the text field. And go to Style, Enable Text, and type Group. Then you can remove the border, and we will right align the text. Select them both, you can group them, and then copy the entire slicer group. This is going to be the year, so let's change the title to year. And here in the original data set, we don't have year or date. So I created some dummy data for that. So we can remove the group from the slicer and add this year column to it. Now we have the years. And this is going to be roughly our layout. Now we can go to Figma and create the background. I create a screenshot and just copy it in the Figma file. Here I create a frame by pressing F. And then from these desktop layouts, I'm going to select TV, which has the same canvas size, what we have in Power BI by default. And I'm going to copy the screenshot within it and just align it right within this frame. How I want to lay out is to have this header section here. Then in the middle, we have the button and the filter section. And then here we have this detailed information. As well, let's have a menu bar, a sidebar on the left side, so we can navigate on other hypothetical pages. This is going to be for the header. I just add the fill. Let's change it to a bit darker. And here in the selection pane, in my case, the image is actually still above this frame. If the same happened to you, just make sure that you drag it not in the inner frame, but within this TV frame. I'm going to copy this. And first, for the entire content, I just create a larger section. I'll make some more space here on the side. And then let's copy this frame one more time. You can copy it by pressing Ctrl D or Ctrl C, Ctrl V. And let's make the width 90 pixel and let's move it down. I want to have a margin of 30 pixel everywhere. If you press down Alt and move the mouse around this shape, you can see the distances. So pressing the up arrow, we move it 4 pixels up. Then holding down shift, pressing the right arrow, that moves it 10 pixels. And then press the right arrow 5 more times to get 30 pixels on the left side. And we are going to make it 6 pixels shorter, so we have also 30 pixels in the bottom. And go to the height and press the down arrow 6 times. So now it has 30 pixels everywhere. Then select these 2 other frames, I resize the bottom and the top. Here on the right side, we have more gap, 38. Now in the width, I can just add +8, which is also going to add 8 pixels. Now it's 30, 30, 30. And in between, I move it right to the edge of the other one and move 20 pixels to the right. And then again from the width, I'm going to subtract -20 pixels. And now between the 2 frames, we want to have a 20 pixel gap. So I'm just going to move this. So we have 20 pixels and I will align it again with this menu bar. And for me, for some reason, it have been moved 5 pixels to the left. I have here 15 pixel distance and here 35. So I just move 5 pixels to the right. And then as I see, I still have to move this to be aligned with this menu bar. Let's give a corner radius to all these frames. I select all of them by holding down shift. And here you can change the corner radius. Let's change it to 12 pixels. And let's add some colors to them. Here in the menu bar, we can add a gradient fill. Select it. We can select these 2 colors for the gradient. Here, click on the color and then select this gradient icon. I'm going to move it a little bit. The top color is going to be this lighter gray. I just color sample it. And then clicking on this other stop bar or stop handle, I color pick the darker gray color. So this is how it looks like. Then let's make this header bar more colorful. Add a gradient again. Again, we can change the angle of it. And the top one is going to be this blue color. And the bottom one is going to be this green. Let's make it a bit less green so we can grab it a bit and extend the end of it. And then for this third frame, this content block, we can just copy this fill. If you click here on the edge of it, you highlight the fill, then you can press Ctrl C, select the other frame and just press Ctrl V. We have this linear color here now. We can delete this previous fill. Then now we can add some background color. Temporarily, I'm going to hide the screenshot and we can pick the colors for the background from these purplish blue. Let's change the fill to gradient again. The first color is going to be this lighter one. And the second one is going to be the darker one. Again, we can move it a little bit sideways to have a different angle. And then we can add some depth to the frames. So let's select all of them and add some drop shadows. Here, go to Effects, click on the plus icon. We will add 2 different shadows to make it a bit more realistic. A direct shadow, which is going to be a more spread out shadow. And then also an ambient shadow, which is going to be right around the edges. So let's click on this sun icon here. This is going to be the first shadow, the smaller shadow. Press the x-axis is going to be 6, y-axis 6, blur 6, spread -1. So the shadow is being cast like kind of from below the frames. Let's change the color to similar color like the frame itself, but make it darker. Let's make rather 20%. If you click on this eye icon, you can see the difference. And then select this shadow, press Ctrl D to copy it. Then click on the sun icon and make it 6, 12, 24. We can have the same spread and the same color and make it only 10%. So you can see the different effects of these two shadows. Now I enable the image again, drag it on the top to see what we want. So we want to have here 3 different sections. For that, I'm going to copy this frame here, this bottom frame. I make it a bit smaller and I just put it in the frame around it in this frame. And then I'm going to create an auto layout here by pressing here on the plus icon. What an auto layout does is that it dynamically changes the sizes of the frame and the frames within the frame. Here you can see that it jumped a little bit. So if you look at the frame, it says that it's hugging the content within. Well, we can change that. So let's have a fixed size of this frame, change the width to fixed, and let's change the height also to fixed. But the frame within, this one is going to have a fill container size, and select the other frame again. And here what we want to have is a 10 pixel margin around this frame within. This is the gapping between the elements within the auto layout. These in the bottom are the outer margins. So let's put 10 here. Now if you select the frame and press Ctrl D twice to copy it twice, you see that the sizes are respecting these constraints here of the auto layout. And then if you select the outer frame again, we can change the orientation to horizontal. If we zoom in, we can see that the radius is a little bit off. It's a very slight difference, but if you have the same radius for a frame within another frame, it's usually better to make it a bit smaller to have kind of the same layout here. It's a slight difference, but yeah, it still makes a difference, at least for me. Then let's do the same in the other two. Change the corner radius to 10. And it's hard to distinguish between these two layers. So we can select all 3 of them and copy the last drop shadow one more time, open it. And in this case, we are casting this drop shadow in the other direction. Put -1, -1. You can already see that there is some drop shadow here, but we can make it very tiny. Add 2 pixel blur only, and we can also make it 5% opaque only. So slight difference, but it distinguishes or like elevates a little bit these upper layers. Then select one of the elements and copy it one more time. And then holding down Shift, select the 3 last elements and then add an auto layout to it. And this other frame now is going to be our part for the bookmark and the filters. Click on the outer layout, change the orientation to vertical again. And we are going to change the size now of this upper layer. It's going to be only 55 pixels tall. Here we can have these areas for the bookmarks and then 2 areas for the filters. And here for these elements, we can add a little bit different depth. So let's remove the drop shadow a little bit, select all the elements. You can press Ctrl and Shift and then just click on them. And then you can select multiple elements from different frames. Go to the bottom 2 drop shadows and let's remove it to 2, 4, 4. But make it a bit stronger since it's closer to the surface, meaning it casts a stronger shadow. Then let's go to the other one. Here also add in like 3, 6 and 12 and make it also a bit stronger. And then I would change the elevation, the depth of these top elements a little bit. So let's select all of them. If you press Ctrl and then click, then you select immediately the element you click on. And if you hold down Shift and click on these other elements, you can also select them within the frame. It's easier to select elements. Then go to the bottom drop shadow and make it only 10% strong. And we can also reduce the size to 4, 4. And then let's move to the other drop shadow. And here we can also remove the size to 4, 8, and 12. We can leave the 10%. And now you can see that it's just a slighter shadow for these. Optionally, if you want to a little bit showcase that these three elements belong together, then we can streamline these corners here between the frames. Select the first element, and here if you open this icon next to the corner radius, you can also change the corners individually. Let's put 2 pixels. Here in the middle, we can universally change it to 2. And in the last one, open the icon again and change the left side corners to 2 pixels. And as you can see, it's not entirely sharp, but it gives kind of a feeling that this line continues, that this data is a little bit belong together. Now we can move to this section. So if I show the screenshot again, we are going to have on this side a section for the free bookmarks, and then we can make 2 sections here for the 2 filters. Let's hide the screenshot again. I'm going to copy one of these elements and just make it very narrow so I can drag it within this frame here. I select it and I'm going to add an auto layout again. Here we have to add the fix height of 55% again. And here we can add a margin of 10 pixels again. Then select the inner layout, change the corner radius to 10 pixels. And the width can be a fill width. Copy it 2 times, pressing Ctrl D. Now select the outer layout and change the auto layout to horizontal. And we can also make this left area a bit larger. Then select all 3 of them. And we are going to turn it inside out. So as if it would be deeper than this layer around it. We can remove the bottom 2 drop shadows, and in the last shadow, we change it to inner shadow. We can make the fill a bit darker, selecting both colors. I just move it down a little bit. Also the other one, I think it looks good. And what we can also do to elevate it a bit more, we can also add some edges to these layers here, some stroke. So I'm just going to add the stroke. And I'm going to pick the same colors in a gradient. First one is going to be this lighter one. And the other one is going to be this darker one. We can turn it into overlay, which means that where the background is darker, it's going to make the outline, the stroke darker. And if the color is lighter, it's going to make the outline lighter. So it can give a nice effect to it. And you see it's lighter now, and let's make it 50% opaque. And also the width, 0.5 pixels. This is a very slight stroke, but it also gives a little bit of distinction. Now let's move to the header. For that, we can create one of these sections again. Let's duplicate it. And I'm going to make it smaller again and then just drag it within this frame. Change the corner radius to 10 pixels and change the width to 120 pixels. Select the auto frame, the entire header. We are going to create an auto layout again. Let's resize it again. We want to have 200 pixel height. The entire width. Then let's resize this frame here. So we have only 20 pixel gap in between. Move it up 1 pixel and then resize it 1 pixel down. Now within the header frame, let's set a 10 pixel margin again. And the layout should start from the right side. Then click on this card. Change the height to fill container. And then change the fill to 15% opaque. Here we can also change the stroke to a lighter color. then copy it 2 times. And as you can see, the header orientation is vertical. We can change it to horizontal. Now we have these 3 cards. If you look at the screenshots, these are going to be for the scores. Then we can have a field for the factor advantages and some space here for these 2 cards. Hide the screenshot again. I'm going to copy this card 2 more times. The last card is going to be 340 pixel wide. This is going to be the background of the column chart. And this card here is going to be simply a placeholder. Let's make it 10 pixel wide and then hide the fill and also the stroke. I really like this transparent here on the top. So we can also try it in the bottom. For example, selecting these 3 elements. Let's change the fill to 25%. And then selecting this bottom layer. Let's change it also to 25%. This is going to be our basic design, so we can save it and import it into Power BI. Let's call it background and then click on export. And to have a higher resolution, we are going to export it with twice the size. You can add here 2 PNG is okay for us, and let's export it and head back to Power BI. Here we can go to canvas settings, background, and add the image. Image fit set to fit. And now we can adjust the visuals. Let's start with these scores here on the right side. General, effects, remove background. Then go to visuals, call out values. For the colors, we can pick the colors from the Figma file. We can select for the values this color, this lightest color. Paste it. And for the labels, select another color, this from the background. Category label, and change it. We can also change the label text. Select the score math and go to data. Type math. This one is going to be simply reading. And the last one is writing. We can align them a bit within these cards, like this. This is okay. After that, the column chart, we can here remove the background again, general effects, remove background. And let's remove the title because it's not fitting well. We will add it as a button label. Then go to visuals, open the x-axis, change the color to this darker blue. Then open the columns. This one can be the lighter blue, and the data labels can also be the lighter blue. Now let's add the title factor advantages. I'm going to copy this label here, the group label. Move it here, go to style, change the text to factor advantages. Make it 14 pixel large. And then change the font color to this darker blue. Also align it to the left and make the entire text larger. Also, let's have a bit more margin in the bottom. Then let's copy this title. We are going to give a title for the dashboard, and it's going to be called Test Performance Factors. Let's make the font size a bit larger and also the entire visual larger. Then for the count participants and score total cards, I'm just going to copy the formatting of this math card. Click on Format Painter. Then select both cards. Remove the category label and move them a little bit here. On this side, we are going to have the card labels on the top. But instead of adding them directly to the card, I'm going to use these buttons because later we also want to have some space for icons here. This is going to be student count, and the other one will be test score. Then let's move to the bookmarks. Try to resize them. I'm also going to move these 2 groups here to the side for now. Something like this. Then go to shape, add some rounded corners, 10 pixel, then go to style. For the default font color, we can color pick from the Figma file again. Let's select this darker color. add it as the font color. We'll open the fill, make it 100% transparent. We don't need a border. And also, let's make the text Segway US semi-bold. Then go to the hover state. Here we can change the font color to a lighter one. Let's get another color from the Figma file. So here I want to pick this color, but in the meantime I noticed that it's a bit too light. So actually I changed it to another color. This is what you are going to see in your Figma file. So this is the color we are going to use. We can copy it, then change the font color, add this one here. And for the fill, we can select this lighter blue color and make it 50% transparent. Let's move to the press state. We can keep the font color as it is. And we change the fill to this light. And let's make it 75%. Moving to the selected state. The font color is going to be this blue from the Figma file. Let's go back and select this blue one. Add it as the font color. Make sure that the font is semi-bold again. And here the fill color is this light blue again with 0% transparency. As you can see, there are some effects when clicking these. And let's select test preparation course. Now we can move down these filters in these fields. Make sure that they are not covering each other. Select the two slicer visuals. And go to general, remove the background. And go back to the visual, to the values, and change the font color to this darker one. And for the background, we are going to color pick from the Figma file from this background. Let's go back. Here, pressing F, I just create a frame outside of the background. And for the fill, I'm going to color pick from here and copy this back to the filter. Open the background color and paste the hex code. And then just resize the visuals a little bit. Then we can go to this bottom section here on the left side. Remove the backgrounds again from the visuals. Go to formatting, general, effects, background, also for these bottom two cards. Remove the background, also here. For the other visuals, I just remove it off camera quickly. Now we can move these card groups a little bit in the middle. In the pie chart, we can remove the legend because we are going to color directly these completed and non-cards to indicate which color is which within the pie chart. So the completed is going to have this blue color, the same color like in the text in the bookmark. So let's select that. Also for the general title, select the same color. For this card as well. And the none section is going to have this middle blue color here, or purplish blue. Go to general, give the same color to the title and also to the bottom card. We pick the same cards in the slicers. None is going to be that part and completed is going to be blue. In the middle, we can add the same colors to the bars. Go to format your visual, bars, select none, select the color, then go to completed and select the blue color. Resize it a little bit, and we can also remove the text. We are going to add a separate label. Go to general, remove title. For the text box, I put it in the middle like this and select the entire text and change it in this dark blue or purple. In the last section, we also change the colors. All the text is going to be this darker blue. I call it blue, but maybe it's purple. I don't know. Also for the headers, column headers, same for row headers. And for the bars in the factor advantages, open the cell elements, select factor advantages, open the data bars. And the bar color is going to be this lighter text color. this one here. So I just copy paste it and into the bar. And for the axis, I want to sample from the background color. Go back to Figma, and here from the background, I select this frame again and sample this background color. I copy it and add it as the axis color. For the free sections, we can add the title and the subtitle. I'm just going to copy this factor advantages button. And here in the style, I'm actually going to hide the text, then go to general and enable the title. This is going to be student count. The font style is going to be Segway UI, 14 pixel is okay. And the text color is going to be this darker purple. Enable the subtitle. And this will be prep course completion. The text color is going to be this lighter purple. Then in the spacing, remove all the spacing between the title and the subtitle. Let's make the box a little bit larger. Now we can copy it to the next section. Here the text is going to be test score and the subtitle in total. Then copy it one more time and it's going to be score distribution and field scores. We are getting closer, but there are still some things to do. First, I would add some icons here on the top, also here on the left side. Then we can add the buttons in the menu. And as you can see, also the size of these three sections are a bit off. For example, I would make this right section a bit larger. And here on the left, we don't need that much space. So let's create a new screenshot and go back to Figma. Here I copy the screenshot and place it within this frame, the background frame. And I place it to the bottom within this background frame. And because these frames here are transparent, we can also see it. So we can resize it a little bit. Let's resize this visual here. And also we can make this one a bit smaller. I'm also going to make this header transparent a bit. Let's make it 80% transparent in the fill. Now here in the left section, I would make some frame around this pie chart. So let's create an ellipse. We can press O and holding down Shift, we can create an even circle. And we can copy the attributes from this frame here. Press down Ctrl Alt C, then select the ellipse and press down Ctrl Alt V to copy the attributes. You see that it has been taken over. And since the background is transparent, I would also make this transparent. I give it 50% transparency. And also let's make it a bit darker, at least this side here. Something like this. And then we can place it somewhere. We don't need it that large. I'm just going to make 150 out of it. Move it in the middle when I see this orange line. And to the bottom, we can have a 30 pixel gap. Now we can take care of this menu bar here. First of all, we can have a logo. We have this your own KPI logo here. You can just drag it and move it within the frame. We are going to add an auto layout here again and just resize it again. Drag it down to the bottom. In the frame, set the width to a fixed width. Then in the auto layout, set the orientation to vertical, align it to the top center. The gap can be 20 pixel, the margins on the sides 10, and the margins of the top and bottom, let's make them 20. And now we can create some buttons. For that, I'm actually just going to copy this frame here, press Ctrl D, then drag it out of the background and select the inner frames and just delete them. Change the frame size to 50 by 50. I move it down a bit and just place it inside the menu. We can remove all the drop shadows and let's change the stroke. I'm going to pick this darker color here. Change it back to solid and just let's pick this color. Then move back. and also change the blending to normal. Make it 20% opaque only. And here we are going to add some icons to it. I already picked the icons we need. Here, if you go to the icons page, you can just copy all the icons and paste it somewhere. And for the first visual, we are going to use this bar chart icon. Just place it inside. And let's change the color to this lighter purple. This is going to be the default state when I copy it by pressing Ctrl D. Here we can create a hover state for it. For that, I'm going to copy this colored field from the header. Just click here on the side, press Ctrl C, and here just place it in. The transparency is going to be 50, and the icon is going to have this light color in this case, the lightest purple. And the stroke, I'm just going to make it overlay. Then we can create the press or the active state. I usually like to use for both states the same formatting. And here just change the field to 100% and we have the 3 button states. I'm gonna select all 3 of them and just drag it out of the visual. We are not going to export them within the backgrounds because we want to put all the states for the buttons in Power BI. So we are going to export them separately. Let's copy all of them and create other buttons. This is going to be with this grid. I just place it here inside and make sure that you remove this other icon here. In fact, I'm going to remove these 2 icons already. And here, changing the color, sampling simply from here, then holding down Alt and drag it to the next button. Here, I think this was this color. If you don't have it, just color sample it from this other icon and drag it one more time. I copy the buttons again and I do the same with this last icon here. After we have it, we can rename them. So first of all are going to be called buttons. If you select them all and right click in this selection pane on one of the frames, then click on rename, or you can press also Ctrl R and rename to button. It bulk renames all the selected elements. And then if you select only the top 3, then press Ctrl R. And here we can add the current name, space, and add default to the end. Rename, then select the next buttons, press Ctrl R, current name, hover, and the last 3 are going to be Ctrl R, current name, selected. The first button is going to be for an overview page. So we can select them all, press Ctrl R, write overview, space, current name. The second button is for a details page, select them, press Ctrl R, details, space, current name. And the last button is for the students page. Press Ctrl R, students, space, current name. This is a very cool and efficient way to rename elements here. Next, as said, I wanted to add some icons here to the student count and the test score. So I'm just going to copy one of the cards here, holding down Alt and drag it. And the width is going to be set for fill. Then I press Ctrl D to duplicate it. I select the outer frame and make the left margin a bit larger. If I open this icon, I can individually set all the sides, and the left side is going to be 20 pixels. Then I move the icons in it. For the students count, we can use the same icon with these people here. If you don't have it anymore, you can just copy it from the button. I'm going to copy it in this frame. And let's change the size. Let's make it a bit smaller, 24 pixels. And I'm going to change the color, the same color as we have in the text. And it's going to be this purple here. Then I select the frame, add an auto layout, orientation, middle on the left. And I don't want to have any margins. And in fact, instead of working in this other frame, I'm going to copy this one and remove the third frame. And here we can just replace the icon. I'm going to drag this trophy in it, as in test score, and change the size to 24 by 24. I only have to change one of these because this constraint proportion is on. So if you change one of the elements, it changes with the same ratio the other side as well. Let's change the color. I color pick from the other icon and then remove this people icon here. Then I select both of the frames and then remove the fill and remove the stroke. But as you can see, maybe we are going to have a little bit narrow gap here. So I'm just going to make, by double clicking on this, I'm going to make the second frame a bit smaller. So we will have more gap between the two labels. Then let's move to these three cards. I'm also going to move the icons there. Here I would create an ellipse and place these icons within. So press O, hold down Shift and just create an ellipse. Let's make it 50 by 50. And we are going to have this lightest color here. It's gonna pick from it. And let's make it 80% opaque. Then we can make all the icons a bit smaller. Let's make them also 24 pixels. For math, I select this icon and move in the middle of this ellipse. And let's change the color to the same gradient like this background. I'm just going to copy it from here, select the icon again, and make sure that you select the vector within this frame and place the fill here. You can remove the black fill and make it 100% opaque. I select both the ellipse and the icon and I move them so there is 20 pixel gap on the top. Then I hold down Alt and copy the entire thing in the next card. I move it in the middle, again 20 pixel on the top. I select the vector itself, press Ctrl Alt C, then select the vector in these other two icons, holding down Shift, and press Ctrl Alt V to copy the gradient, to copy the attributes. I remove this icon here with the frame. I drag the other icon within. Then I copy the ellipse. This time I just copy the ellipse itself and place it the same way. And yeah, as you can see here with the last icon, this constraint was not on for me. So this one is 24, but it got a bit distorted. It's 24 by 30. And what we want is 24 by 24. I make sure the constraints are on. And now I move it within this ellipse. Now let's turn off this screenshot. And this is going to be our final dashboard. Let's save it again and import it in Power BI and also export all the buttons. Again, I would suggest to export it with a double size. Select them all. You can add here two and click Export Layers. In Power BI, first I'm going to replace the background. I saved it as background 2. Image fit is fit. And now we can adjust the visuals. Here we can move the labels and also the cards below. I move it in the middle. Same with the test score. Make sure to align them. Then on the right side, I move the three cards a little bit down. So to kind of even out the spacing between the icon and the number and the bottom edge and the text. Something like this. I just eyeball it. And then on the bottom left side, we can place the pie chart within. For me, it fits very well. The size I have is Yeah, I guess you can make 180 by 180 and then it fits really nicely. So this is also what I meant. We have a 150 pixel ellipse in Figma and we create a 180 point pie chart what fits almost to the same size. We can move the cards here a little bit. I also move this percentage a bit closer and I do the same with none cards and move them all within the frame. Also align these labels here and I adjust the other three visuals off camera. Here in the middle section, in the bar charts, I forgot to change the text color, so let's do it quickly. In the y-axis, let's change it to the dark purple and do the same to the data labels. And finally, as a last step, we can add the buttons. So I'm going to go to Insert, Buttons, and add the blank button. Here, then go to Style, we add the text. This is going to be Overview. Let's change the font color to this darker text color. Remove the border, then go to Icon, and icon type is custom. Here in Browse, let's select the first button. This is the active page. So the overview button is going to be selected. Click on Open. Then the alignment should be center aligned. And yeah, let's do that also for the text. Center align it horizontally. And the icon placement is going to be above the text. The icon size can be 60. And this is going to be our first button. You can resize it and place it like this. Maybe let's make it a bit smaller, so icon size is 50 instead of 60. Okay, this is good. Now let's copy it. This button doesn't have any other states because it's just a selected page. And for the next page, the name is going to be Details. Make sure that you are in the default state. And then let's change the icon to the Details default icon. Details button default. And then we want to change the other states on hover. Here we can change the text color, make it a bit lighter, and then replace the icon with the hover icon, which is going to be this one here. So now when you hover over it, the state is changing. And for press, we can add the same icon or same button as for the selected. So this is how it looks like when we press it. And for the student page, I just do it off camera. And for the navigation, you could just select the buttons, add an action, and use the type page navigation action. We don't have other pages, but if you want to create it, if you want to practice a bit more, go ahead. So this is it. I really like this design. If you have some feedback, some suggestions, or just want to say hi, let me know in the comments and see you next time.